Hi, my name's Alex,
And I'm Marie.
and thank you for taking the time to watch this video about safety and driving at the Mount Wilson Observatory.
We do have just some important details that we're just mainly going over here. The tour time at the observatory is from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. So this means that we're trying to get everybody to be on the mountain no later than 11:30. So what I would suggest is leaving San Diego at or around 8:30, just because LA traffic is very unpredictable. Even traffic can just come up. And then also, Alex, if you don't mind slipping to the next one. So everybody's going to be emailed detailed driving instructions that we're going to be discussing in this video. That one will have more updated information than what we have currently. Also, our designated carpoolers, people who we have communicated with, they are going to be carpooling for people, and those passengers of carpools, you will all be emailed separately no later than this upcoming Friday, the 17th. So that will be including the carpool assignments and just further instruction for you guys, a little different than people driving themselves. And then also, we are going to have a safety waiver and a photo release. Will also be emailed along with this. It has to be signed, it has to be completed. We got to do it. So if it's possible, we'd like it to be completed no later than May 25th. This is the day before. If you're unable to, we will have a printed out version thing on the mountain. So can't get away from it. This includes any individual guests that perhaps people paid for but did not supply the email to us. That does kind of fall on you guys to then forward that out. Or again, they could just sign the physical copy on the mountain. I think both should be fine. And yeah.
Cool.
Take it
Perfect.
away, Alex.
Thank you, Marie. So the next part of this video is about a few things to expect when you get to Mount Wilson and things to actually expect while you're driving up to Mount Wilson, because a huge part of this trip is going to be about us getting from San Diego and up to the observatory, which is about 5,700 feet elevation. So the most important and first part is getting up safely. And I'm going to be sending everyone a link of this YouTube video that I have shown here. I don't want to take up your time making you watch a video that I can then give you a link to review again later. But the main purpose of this video is for you to get an idea of what it's like to drive up from the off ramp of the 210 freeway at the base of the Angeles Crest all the way to the front gate of the observatory. And some of the important things to consider is that when you are first getting off of the freeway is that you have your last opportunity to pick up some food from, let's say, a grocery store like Trader Joe's or Ralph's, or a little fast food place like Subway or McDonald's, or any other convenience store that is within the area. After you start driving up from the base of the mountain, after you get off of the freeway, the only other place to purchase food will be up at the observatory at Cosmic Cafe, which I will elaborate on later. A few other things to take into consideration while you're driving up the mountain is about 5 minutes into your drive before you actually start ascending the mountain, you will start losing cell phone signal. So I encourage anyone who might be getting off of the freeway after 11 a.m. or who might be running late to try and reach out to us, given the information that we will provide to you if you expect there to be any issues, so we can at least prepare for you to show up late and not miss out on you arriving at the top of the mountain. Also, a really important thing to consider is that it's the beginning of summer, and this road has a lot of people traveling on it over the weekends. Some of the things to take into consideration is bicycle clubs that actually ride up from the base of the mountain, which is almost around 300 feet above sea level, to the summit or the peak where we will be going. In addition to motorcycle clubs and car clubs. So if you have any people who are either tailgating you or driving a little too slow or riding their bicycles too slow, there are safe places to either pull over or pass them. So I would recommend, if you, let's say, have a motorcycle club or car club or more than 5 vehicles behind you, there will be safe turnoff areas for you to pull over after you safely signal to let them pass you. And also, you should expect that of drivers who might be going a little slower than you might be driving. So the biggest thing is to remember that you're driving on a highway that has a lot of blind corners and a lot of people driving on it that might not be as careful as you are driving on the road. So my best advice to you is to drive slow, drive safe, give plenty of space between you and the vehicle in front of you, and try not to rush getting up the mountain. And that's why, again, at the beginning of this video, Marie encouraged you to leave between 8 a.m. to 8:30. And that's because the drive from San Diego up to the peak of Mount Wilson typically takes about 3 to 3.5 hours. Good traffic, maybe up to 4 hours on very bad traffic days. And some of the bad traffic can occur while you're driving up the mountain itself. So give yourself enough time to drive up there, not to feel rushed. And we will, again, include this video here for you to review at a later time when it's better for you, so you don't have to watch it at this point. But moving forward, we are going to... Oh, sorry, Marie, go ahead.
Oh, do you mind if I jump in with that too?
Please.
It's just regarding time. It does take about 45 minutes to drive all the way up the mountain one way, like 30 to 45 minutes, I'd say. So that's something also just keep in mind. So once you're at the base of the mountain in La Cañada, you'll have kind of a good idea. You can just add 30 minutes and that's about how far out you are. Because at least I didn't see a lot of traffic last time that we were out there. And then also one other thing too that I don't think we mentioned in the on-campus meeting, it's not too common, but if there is somebody that's pulled over on the side of the road and they're flagging people down, just keep driving to the observatory. Don't pull over to help them. I know that sounds mean, but just when you get up to the observatory, they have security. They have the CHP, I believe, out there that can communicate or assist them properly than you could. So just notice where they are, but make a stop for them, if that makes sense.
I would agree with that. And the way you can actually determine where a person might have had an accident is if you look in this frame here of this YouTube video, there's a little sign right here. And this is called a mile marker. And there's actually a number on there that you can try to memorize as you're driving past. And again, there is more reliable reception and quicker response time if you actually get up to Mount Wilson rather than trying to call from your cell phone due to some of the bad cell signals. So yes, I agree with Marie. It is better to try and get your way up unless you have professional training, but that's a whole nother subject that I don't like. I would not like to get into at this time. But
yeah.
yeah, that being said, it's safest for everyone, including yourself, to just get up to the top of the mountain, report any issues that you might have seen, and then we can go from there unless you have any expertise in that field. So that being said, we're going to continue forward with this. Let me move on to the next slide because YouTube is trying to play. So it's something we wanted to state again is that once you arrive at the mountain, there will be a specific area that we all will be parking in. And that area will not have any required purchase or a permit for the parking area. Currently, we are trying to coordinate the logistics on that and get a location that I can give to you, and that will be going out with the email on the 17th or before then that Marie will send. So at this time, just expect to have details within the email about how you can park your vehicle once you are at the observatory after your drive on up. Anything else, Marie?
No, that's it for me.
Okay, cool.
Sounds good.
Next slide is some things that I'd like to make sure that you consider once you are up at the observatory. We will be at an elevation of over 70 or 5,700 feet. So the air will be a little bit thinner up there. And we really want to tell people that it's important to take your time and find your pacing while walking and around the different locations that we'll be visiting at the observatory. It's easy to trip or lose your breath if you try and exert yourself or aren't paying attention. So please do those things. We're not in a rush to get to any one location or another. We have enough time to get everywhere. And if you aren't feeling well, please talk to one of the docents who are leading the tour or the chaperones who will be supporting this event, because we want to make sure that everyone's okay and that they enjoy their time at the observatory and that there are no issues. So that's something important to remember. Also, consider that you want to have some sort of water bottle or thermos with you to carry water, because at the observatory, while there are places to refill your thermos or take a sip of water at a water fountain, they are only located at the front of the observatory and at the very far back near the 100-inch telescope. It's very important to actually stay hydrated up at the mountain, because you don't want to become dehydrated and then potentially get a bad headache or need to have medical attention come to you. So we really strongly encourage that you carry water with you. And if you start to have a headache, again, talk to one of the docents or chaperones just to make sure that you're taken care of, because we want everyone to enjoy their time while they're up at the mountain and have a safe experience. The next thing that we really would like to address is the attire that you should have while at the observatory. We will be at the top of the mountain, like I mentioned, and it does get pretty chilly up there when the winds start to blow. We're expecting temperature of around 75 or 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And while that feels nice while you're outside underneath the sun, when you head into some of the telescope domes and some of the other areas on the observatory, it gets significantly colder, because we are in shaded areas that are surrounded by metal, and it can get down to about 60 degrees in some of those facilities. So please make sure that you bring appropriate clothing to make sure that you stay warm. And also, given that we'll be hiking around a lot, make sure you wear sturdy shoes, something that will cover your ankle to prevent yourself from getting any rocks or bugs or any other sorts of things down your shoes and stuff. And also to support your ankles in case you might slip on a rock or anything. So please make sure that you're wearing appropriate shoes and footwear for the area that we'll be at. And also consider when you are driving up that the weather conditions at the base of the mountain might be significantly different up at the top of the mountain and while you're driving up that whole entire road. For example, while you might be at the bottom of the mountain and it looks a little cloudy above, there will be a point where you will be driving through that cloud or fog and will have reduced visibility while you are driving. And then again, while you are leaving that foggy area up to a much more clearer area once you ascend above the cloud level. So please be aware of the weather conditions. I highly doubt that it will be snowing, but there's a chance, given the weather, that it could snow at the higher elevation. So again, please be considerate of the road that you're driving on. And I feel that that is good. Marie, do you have anything to add?
I guess I would really stress that it does get colder in the in the domes, as compared to outside. It's yeah, just bring a jacket mainly. I would say also like a zip up jacket that's easy to put in a backpack, because it's like when you're walking around outside, it's really hot. Going to an observatory dome, it's freezing, so it's not fun to be cold in that.
Cool. Well, Marie, I'm going to let you handle this next part and just tell me when to keep moving on.
Okay. Hang on, just waiting for my screen on my end to change. Ah, yes, my lovely fashion choice. So I'll get to that in a moment. So cameras are okay. We will have a photographer, but it's also, of course, you can bring your own camera and make sure you know, you can take your own memories with you too. Next one. So, oh yeah, so sunscreen is definitely suggested, especially since we are up on a mountain. Of course, you know, it's a lot less coverage up there. So sunscreen is definitely suggested. It's a lot more like direct sunlight for sure. Then also, you could either bring bug spray to the right, my beautiful hat. Or net, I guess. I'm not sure. Head net. I couldn't remember the actual name. I heavily suggest this because there are just these huge swarms of like small gnats, and it's funny. The sun goes down, there's none of them, but then the sun comes out, and it's like 1,000 of them. It's insane. And I also had the pleasure to find out that they're attracted to mascara and eye makeup because they go directly for the eyes. It's wonderful. It's great. No, but I would say probably don't wear mascara, probably don't wear eye makeup just in case, you know, because that's not fun. You could bring one of these head nets, but also another thing that could work is if you do decide to bring a like a baseball hat or any kind of hat, if you douse it in bug spray, it does pretty good to keep the bugs away from at least your face. They don't bite though, so that's a plus. At least they don't bite. They're just annoying as heck. And then also bring any money that you'd like for souvenirs. Of course, obviously it's not needed, but souvenirs are fun. All souvenirs are less than $30. I think the most expensive souvenir is a sweatshirt, at least from what I saw. That was $30 for that. But everything kind of went down from there, and it was pretty fairly priced for a lot of the stuff. There's also the Cosmic Cafe, which, Alex, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it has vegan and vegetarian options there.
Yes, they do have those sorts of food options there. One thing that I would encourage people to consider is that their vegan and vegetarian options are more lettuce, tomato, and onion with or without cheese, essentially. And you might get a better
Oh,
meal
okay.
at a Subway or pick up a fresh salad at Ralph's or Trader Joe's, which is why I was encouraging earlier that people, as they are arriving up at the mountain or at the base of the mountain, stop over at one of those places to look at a variety of different options so they're not left with the bare minimum at the top of the mountain, which is a little bit more pricey than what you might be paying for at, again, Subway or Trader Joe's or Ralph's.
Yes, and actually, that's something I think we a little earlier is that you are more than welcome to bring your own lunch. I know that I'm gonna bring a cooler in my car. So if you're just bringing like a small bag lunch, it might won't have any access to any other refrigerators. So if you need something refrigerated, I might be bringing a cooler. But I would suggest, like, also, like, you know, if you just want to save money, just bring your own food. You know, essentially, you could like bring like those frozen Smuckers. Just let it thaw throughout the day. So by the time that you get to, you know, lunchtime, or I guess dinner, I'm not quite sure at that point. Lunner. Once you get to that time, then you know it'll be nice and ready for you. So, yeah. Or again, just buy food at like Target down at the bottom of the hill, something like that.
But yeah, one of the big points is that you will have access to food at the base or at the top of the mountain. So you won't be left stranded with
Don't freak
nothing
out if you
else
forgot
on
your
that.
food.
Exactly. So one of the important things that we need to address before we finish this video is rules of the observatory and things that you are not allowed to bring with you or do up at the observatory. And the big things are, sorry, actually this last slide was saying the Trader Joe's thing that we just mentioned. The last thing that we want to mention to you is things not to do or bring at the observatory, which revolve around smoking, vaping, or consumption of alcohol. These are things that we will not tolerate as an organization, nor will the observatory tolerate. And this is also for your own safety because both alcohol and smoking are a danger, not only for fire hazards, but for people driving up and down the observatory. So to again make those points clear, we are not okay with you bringing any sort of smoking device. That means a vape pen, cigarette, anything that produces smoke or is a smokeless device. These are just absolutely prohibited on the observatory grounds. And if you choose to, as you're driving up, have anything in your vehicle, that's your concern. But the second you enter those gates and go through the observatory parking lot, those things are not okay. Following that, alcohol is completely prohibited on this trip, period. We are not encouraging anyone to consume alcohol either at the observatory or beforehand, because it is illegal and also dangerous for your own safety to have being driven up there or trying to walk around at an observatory, especially at that elevation. It's just not safe, and we're not going to accept that. And again, neither will the observatory. And we will ask if there's any issue that you please leave, because that's just not something that's safe for us. Also, something that we are not okay with is littering. We're going to be up at the Angeles National Forest, and it is a beautiful national forest area that is maintained by many volunteers and fire safety officials to preserve its pristine beauty. And by us throwing trash on the ground, even if it's a small item, will make that beauty less so. So if you have anything, please just put it in your pockets. There's multiple trash cans around the observatory that you can throw things in if you have any sort of waste. So please help keep the forest beautiful. And lastly, there are no weapons allowed at the observatory, period. And I'm not going to elaborate on that. Please do not bring any sort of weapon to you with the observatory. With that being said, we'd like to thank you for taking watch this video.
Can I also join in on?
Yes.
It's okay. Sorry. Just also with just with all these rules, essentially, it's like, just remember that you're representing whichever part. We have a bunch of different people that really paid in to allow us to be able to do this. A lot of people sponsored this trip. A lot of people, it's a very, very historical observatory. I guess what I'm getting at is just remember that you're representing only San Diego Mesa College, or some of you from Brief. There's some of you from, I think, even San Diego State. We just have a lot of people that, just remember you're the people that, the observatory is recognizing. And we'd like to be able to do this again in the future, possibly too. If it just also falling in with the things do not do or do not bring, I guess, adding into that is treat the docents with a lot of respect, treat your chaperones with respect, just, be a good person, be happy, be nice, be friendly, essentially. So remember, you're, a lot of people paid to have this happen. That's what I'm getting at. So that's all. I'll shut up now.
And no, yeah, and that's a good thing to say. And I mention these things out of the sake of mentioning it, because I feel that nobody needs to be told about these things, but we are guests at this historic institution. And because we are guests, we want to obey the rules that they have asked us to obey. And they have been very gracious and kind to let us up this weekend and to have accommodated us in ways that we didn't necessarily explain to everyone when setting these tickets out. But they've really taken us in and made it to where we've had an easy time performing this whole field trip. So again, Maria, there's nothing left on this slide. I think we're good to go to the next one.
Yep. Yes, we finally are.
So the end point is, if you have any questions or concerns, the Astronomy Club email is listed here, in addition to Marie and my personal email. So if you have any concerns, questions, need to reach out to us for any reason regarding this trip, let us know. We'll be responsive. We want to make this as easy for you as possible. And I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I know it was a little bit long, but I hope it was worth it in making your trip a lot easier for when you arrive.
Yes, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.